Hi everybody, this is Dark Storm Comic Reviews here, and today we're continuing our ranking of all the Spider-Man movies, with ranking all of our Spider-Man movies, part 2. Because if you want to watch part 1, you can go to my last video and watch that, but today, this is going to be part 2 of me ranking all the Spider-Man Spider-Man movies. Yeah, ranking all the Spider-Man movies. So anyways, yeah, sorry about that, I kind of jumped on my words there. But anyways, so my first 3 favorite Spider-Man movies, if you saw my last video, or if you didn't, it was Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 3, and Spider-Man 2. So those are my first 3 favorites. Now we're going to go on to essentially my 4th favorite movie, which isn't even a Spider-Man movie, but it's Tom Hardy's Venom. And the reason why I put this movie at 4th, yes, it's not a Spider-Man movie, but he is tied in pretty heavily to the character. Excuse me. He's tied in pretty heavily to the character. And he's, so, and I love this movie. I just really, really love this movie. I love Venom. He's one of my favorite villains of Spider-Man. He's my second favorite next to the Green Goblin. I love reading the Venom comic books. I love the 90s Lethal Protector. I love the anti-hero 90s runs. Venom the Maze, Venom the Lethal Protector, Venom, the one that has Vengeance in it, the Ghost Rider villain. What else? Planet of the Symbiotes. Such really, really good stories, and I'm just such a huge Venom fan. And like with Tobey Maguire, Tom Hardy just knocks it out of the park as Eddie Brock, and he knocks it out of the park as Venom. And these movies get so much hate, and I just don't get it at all, because this is exactly what Venom would act like in a movie. Especially if this were taking inspiration from the anti-hero 90s comic book runs with Venom. This is exactly what Venom would act like, with the jokes and the eyes, lungs, pancreas line, which was from the comic books. They took that line from the books and put it in this movie. So freaking awesome. I loved it. I love that. You guys don't understand how much I loved this movie when I first saw it. Seeing a bulky, and I love Trevor Grace's Venom. I talked about this in the last video. But seeing Venom all big and bulky, with the teeth, the tongue, and everything, it was just amazing, guys. Like, you don't understand. I didn't think we'd ever get a Venom movie, and the fact that we now have 2. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I had a burp there. I just ate a few minutes ago. So, but anyways, the fact that we have, 2 Venom movies. Think about that, guys. Think about how crazy that is that we have 2 Venom movies. I feel like I'm dreaming half the time. The fact that we have a actual live action Venom movie, a solo Venom film, it's crazy to me that this even happened, and that I'm just so happy that this movie became such a success, because first off, Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock is great. He plays the slimy role of the scumbag, of Eddie Brock. He plays the role really well, where they do take some different turns with the movie, where instead of blaming Spider-Man for his problems and then, becoming Venom with rage and everything, like in Spider-Man 3 and in the comics, the Life Foundation from the Lethal Protector series plays that blaming role. So Eddie Brock, he's a journalist in this movie, just like he is in the comics. It's such an awesome opening to his character, and and there's this scene, and he's interviewing Carlton Drake, which is also a character in the comics. I love the fact that they really looked at the comics for this. A round of applause for the whole Venom movie team. And he's interviewing Carlton Drake about rockets and stuff, about his rockets and stuff. And so, but Eddie, he's snooping on his girlfriend and Wing's computer. He finds out some files about him, like doing experiments and stuff. And he's not supposed to be looking at that, because that's just his girlfriend's, and he's kind of invading her privacy, which he shouldn't have been doing. But he does anyways, because he's Eddie, and he wants to expose Carlton Drake for the fraud he is. But sadly, that's not what he should have done. He in his eyes, he looks at himself like he's doing the right thing, and in a way, he is. But he's not using common sense, really. Like, he's kind of invading his girlfriend's privacy to do the thing that he wants to do, which is right. And he ends up finding out that Carlton Drake has done all these experiments on people through his girlfriend's computer files. And when he brings that up to Carlton Drake in the interview, obviously they're like, Eddie, you got to cut it out. We just want to talk about the Rockets. We want to talk about the Rockets. It's like, no, no, no. I want to talk about the allegations that he's had against these people. I want to talk about this. I don't care what my boss told me to do. I want to expose this guy for the fraud he is. So because he, takes a wrong turn, he ends up like getting fired from his job. He ends up doing all this. His girlfriend breaks up with him because obviously he made it a privacy. He shouldn't have done that. And he gets fired and everything, just like in the books. Just like in the books, when he does something, when he thinks he's doing something right, even though he shouldn't. When he thinks he's doing something right, even though it turns out what he did was wrong, or he shouldn't have done that, he ends up getting fired for what he thinks he did was right, basically. And he ends up blaming Spider-Man. Well, in this scenario, the exact same things happen. His life spirals down. He goes down into the pit. He gets fired from his job. All this stuff happens to him. His girlfriend breaks up with him, but instead of blaming Spider-Man, he blames the Life Foundation, and he blames Carlton Drake. That exact same thing happened in the book. The only difference is they changed out Spider-Man with Carlton Drake, and I love that. I love that they kept to that accuracy of the books while also doing something unique with the film. It's great. And Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock is just so awesome, and I love his origin. Tom Hardy does such a good job as the character. I can see him as Eddie Brock, and that's how good he is. And he plays, yeah. And when we get to the Venom side of the story, when we finally see Venom bond with Eddie, Venom is great in this. He does everything you would think the anti-hero version of... Because again, I'm just reminding you guys, there are basically two different versions of Venom. There's the villainous version who wants nothing but to kill Spider-Man, which we see in the comics, and we see that story in Spider-Man 3. But then we got this other part of Venom that comes later in the comics where him and Spider-Man are all good, they're buddies. Not buddies, but they're all good, they got a truce. And then he kind of becomes an anti-hero and does his own thing. And he likes to quip jokes. He's like the dark, humored version of Spider-Man. He is dark, but he's very goofy and comedic. And that is what is throwing people off who go see these movies. I think that's why people hate on him, is because they don't read the comics, so they don't know that Venom, he is goofy. He is very dark humored. This is how Venom acts. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't get why you guys don't get this. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. I'm just saying, like, I don't get why people don't get this. Like, and it's funny because all these people watch the Marvel movies and they see these movies and they're like, that's not Venom. And I'm like, yes, it is. If you read the books, that is how Venom is. Like, I'm just like, have y'all not read Lethal Protector or Venom the Mace or Venom Planet of the Symbiotes or whatever? He acts like this in the books. He's very jokey, he's very comedic, he's very dark humored. So I don't get the hate for that at all. He is Venom, and this is awesome. AX, just like he does in the 90s comic books. Thankfully, he doesn't act like... Again, I haven't read the Knowles stories, which in the newer books, they might be really good. Thank goodness he doesn't act all dark and serious and broody in this. I love the fact that he acts like his 90s comic book counterpart. And, I just love his pancreas, the scene where he becomes Venom. You got the scene at the end where he's, like, trying to take down the bad guy, and he's like, you're a turd in the wind. I love that line, too. That was awesome. And I love Riot. I love the fact that Riot, because he was in Lethal Protector. I know people don't like Riot because he's very generic, but I loved Riot in this because he is from the Lethal Protector books. And I like the fact that they made him the main villain and they tied all this Lethal Protector stuff in, like the Life Foundation, and it's amazing, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. This movie is awesome. This movie is awesome. I love seeing this movie. I saw it like 3 times in the theaters. I love Venom, and they did Venom justice. Sony did Venom justice in this movie. Gosh darn it, these movies deserve way less hate. So, I'll probably talk about this more someday too, along with the Rami films. I don't know, because I do really love these films. I don't think they get enough appreciation, and it's unfortunate, man. Like, these movies have made so much money. You get all these people just complaining about them. That's their opinion, and that's fine. But this is really a really good interpretation of Venom from like his like anti-hero 90s comics days, and it's just yeah. And the tones are great, the mix of dark and light tones in this, which somehow I think this film does really good. Which sequel, again, comic accurate, it does a really good job. But I like how this film right here, it has like that mix of kind of like the Lethal Protector in a way, because in the earlier anti-hero Venom runs, if you notice, I've noticed this, you go back to Lethal Protector, the very first one, it's comedic, definitely, like this movie, but it does have a little bit of a darker tone, like not a horror like Jason, no, nothing like that, but it has a little more of a darker, serious tone, mixed with some comedy. And I think this movie gets that tone really, really well. It doesn't go overboard with the humor, but it doesn't go overboard with the darkness or whatever. It's got a perfect balance of everything. This movie it's just very well balanced. The Tom Hardy and everybody does a good job. Michelle Williams does a good job. Carlton Drake, the guy who plays him, I really like that guy. I thought he played a really good villain. I don't get why people don't like his performance. He did a really good job, in my opinion. I liked his line for he was like, bring the next volunteer. Like, you could tell we didn't care about any of those people he's testing on it. I love that so much. It made him such a good villain to me. But yeah, I'll probably talk about the Venom films again because I love these films just as much as the Rami movies. In all honesty, Rami films I do love a little more, but I do love these a lot too. So yeah, I'm gonna give Venom a 10 out of 10 because I do think it's that good and it deserves all the praise it gets. Venom was perfect in this movie. The inspiration from the Lethal Protector was awesome in this movie. When Eddie Brock first becomes Venom, it's just amazing. My mind was blown in the theater, guys. Like, you don't understand. Like, seeing a bulky Venom on the big screen for the first time, the fact that he's inspired by the 90s, like, anti-hero runs, with Lethal Protector and stuff like that, it was just amazing. The fact that we got this is just a miracle. So, this is my fourth favorite Spider. I know it's not a Spider-Man movie, but he's tied into Spider-Man. So, this is my fourth favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, and it gets a 10 out of 10 Venom with Tom Hardy. So, and of course, you guys are going to be surprised with my next choice. Because when there's a Venom, there's also has to be, surprise, a Carnage, right? Bam. Okay, so Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Okay, so I'm going to be honest. I didn't like this movie as much as the first one, if I'm being completely honest. And when I first saw it, I was hyped for this movie, guys. Like, you cannot believe. The COVID delays were practically just making me sad because I was so hyped for this movie. I loved the heck out of the first one. Seeing Carnage on the big screen, man, are you kidding me? Like, let's go, baby, let's go. This is the first character that I've actually read in the comics before I've seen them in film. So I got a graphic novel where, I got the first appearance of Carnage and everything. And I love Carnage just as much as Venom. I love Venom a little more, but I love Carnage a lot too. And to see him finally be on the big screen was freaking amazing. I will say, it was worth it. Woody Harrelson's Carnage and Shriek over here, they were my favorite parts of the movie. By far. Carnage, Woody Harrelson's Carnage was the reason I came back to this movie. Probably 4 times. Because man, you don't understand, guys. I've read this guy in comics, Carnage in comics for, before this movie came out, and I love Carnage, and I love Venom, seeing them fight, and, man, it was like seeing the Green Goblin on screen which I didn't read the Green Goblin comics before I saw him in film, but it was like seeing Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin for the screen on the first time. It was just, I've read Carnage in comics for a while now, Maximum Carnage. I even collected my whole run. To see him on the big screen was just a joy. I never thought I would see this day, or maybe even live to see this day. But I did, and it's amazing. Woody Harrelson, man, that guy, he knocks it out of the park. He knocks it out of the park as Cletus and Carnage, and he just, they do make some subtle changes, and I'm aware of that with Carnage character in the comics, and we're going to get to that, but first I'm going to say, so basically where I'm going to start is Tom Hardy and Venom, right? I still love them. They're still great. They're awesome. They're still accurate to the books. But here's the problem I have with, and again, it's accurate, and this is kind of where I struggle because I recognize that this is accurate to the books, but I'm struggling a little bit because the humor, and this is how it is in the comics, and I totally get it, and I was just praising the first one, right? But the humor does go a little over the top. It's hard to explain. I like the humor. I like the humor in the bathroom scene and when they're in their little apartment. But there's just something about this movie, man, that knocks it down to a 9 for me. I don't know what it is. It's just not. I felt like the first one had this really good balance of the dark humor and the darkness and the humor that I saw on the first one, really well balanced and well mixed. This one really wants to lean into the humor, which is fine. And when you think about it, in the later '90s Venom comic books, like a Lethal Protector, it was kind of like a mixture of dark and comedic tones. When you go to the later, like late '90s Venom comic books, they were very comedic. Like they were very comedic and over the top and very cheesy, and some weren't as good as his earlier ones, right? And I feel like that's what it is with this movie. I'm trying to find a way to explain this correctly. That's what I feel like with this movie. Like those later '90s Venom comic runs in the late '90s, they're really leaning heavily into the humor, and it works. It works really good at points, but in other points it doesn't. I wasn't a fan of the rave scene. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I felt like they could have taken that scene out, and they could have given us another Venom and Carnage fight, and I do feel like that was kind of a wasted opportunity. The final fight we get is awesome. Don't get me wrong. I was cheering. I was happy as heck in the theater when I saw it, but I wish we could have gotten another Carnage and Venom fight, man. I wish we could have gotten another fight. I would have loved to have seen these two battle again. So that was kind of unfortunate. And another scene I did like, but I felt like could have been way better, and they actually have a deleted scene in the bonus features, the mugging scene. I like it. I like when Venom is spouting all those lines about, rolling the dude in dumpster juice and let's get a lucky strike, Eddie, stuff like that. Love those lines. That is something that Venom would say in the, those earlier 90s anti-hero comics. That is something that he would say. But the problem is that with that scene, I like it, but they do not go through with it. They don't. I wanted to see Venom fight some bad guys, like be the anti-hero and see him bash some bad guys like in the books, and he just, man, we don't get that. He's holding up a bad guy, right? And he's spouting all this stuff, and I love it, but then it's like, no, we can't do this, and Venom throws him in the trash can, and then that's it. We don't get to see Venom beat up any bad guys like in Lethal Protector or in any of the books. It is kind of a disappointment. I'm going to be honest with you. It is a bit of a disappointment. Because there's a deleted scene, and it even made it a bigger disappointment to me because there's a deleted scene, if you go into the bonus features, of a mugging scene, an alternate mugging scene, which is by far, in my opinion, I like the one that we got, I like the dialogue, but in my opinion, it is by far a better mugging scene. Because we still get some humor, but we also get to see Venom take out some bad guys, just like he would in the Lethal Protector book. And for the life of me, I don't know why they didn't use that scene. Now, maybe they didn't finish it in time. I'm thinking that could be it. But for the life of me, that scene was just so amazing in the deleted scenes. And it's like, and it would have brought it up a little bit for me. Like, and to not have Venom beating up any muggers, it felt like a wasted opportunity for me. To where they could have, maybe taken out some of the jokes or something and had him maybe fill the runtime in with him beating up some bad guys or something. I don't know. But it's a bit of a missed opportunity for me. I still love the movie, but yeah, some I wish we could have seen. Humor, and the rave scene, I didn't like the rave scene. Like I said, they could have taken that out and replaced it with something else. I felt like the humor was a little over the top at that point, and I felt like they could have taken that out. The humor was okay in the first half, but at that point I was kind of like, okay. Can we have just a Venom and Carnage fight or something else? It's kind of like, it's okay, but yeah, but I felt like that could have been replaced. But, okay, anyways. Now, that's really all the negatives I really have. The humor going a little over the top of points, and then the monkey scene. Well, actually, you know what? I got another negative, but we'll get to that. But anyways, I still love Tom Hardy and Venom. I still love Tom Hardy and Eddie Brock. I like the fact, because at first it bothered me, but then I'm like, no, James, no, because in the comics, Eddie Brock, because at first I was bothered by the fact that he was back at the bottom again in the second movie, because he kind of learned his lesson in the first one, and he rose to the top, and now he's back at the bottom again in the second one, and I'm like, wait, what? And then I remember, oh yeah, because that is his character. Eddie Brock is kind of that, I don't know, yeah, it's kind of harsh, but I'm just going to use it. He's kind of that loser, loner type character where he has his highs, but then he has his lows, and it made me remember that in Lethal Protector. Yeah, he lives with those homeless people for a while in the comics, and he has a good life with them, but then I remember they kicked him out eventually, and he was back on his own again. He didn't have a home or anything. So he goes from highs to lows. That is his character. And Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock being at his low point again makes absolutely perfect sense, because that is what his character would be like. So Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock knocks out of the park again, of course. Venom. I love Venom too. A little over the top of the humor, but that is accurate to his character, so I still love it. Let's see, Cletus Cassidy. My favorite thing out of this movie, Woody Harrelson. He plays Cletus Cassidy very well. He does the crazy serial killer vibe really well, because in the books, Cletus Cassidy is just a crazy dude, a crazy serial killer who likes to kill people. Like that's basically his thing. He loves chaos. He loves killing. He's all about chaos. That's Cletus Cassidy in a nutshell. He loves killing people. Now, yeah, they do make some changes. I'm going to get into that, but Woody Harrelson, Cletus Cassidy, he does him so well. He plays that crazy serial killing vibe really, really well. He deserves all the praise he gets. Every scene that him and Tom Hardy are talking to each other in the jail cell, I love those scenes where he's like, you ruined your father's life just by being born and killing your mother. Like that scene was so well done. And Cletus Cassidy, there is a couple differences. He does have a loving relationship with Shriek in this movie, who's also from the comics. And that's not how it is in the books, because in the books, Cletus doesn't really love anybody. He doesn't really give a crap about anybody in the books. But they kind of give him a love interest to make you sympathize with him, which I'm okay with. I didn't mind at all. I was honestly okay with it. It is different, but I'm okay with it. And what else? They also, when the way Carnage, way Cletus discovers Carnage, right? He gets Carnage. Sorry, it took me a few minutes. Venom, Eddie's at the jail cell and he's talking to Cletus, and then Venom attacks him because Cletus says something that Venom doesn't like about Eddie. And so then Cletus ends up biting Eddie, and then that's how he gets the Venom suit into his bloodstream. And I like that. I really, really like that approach, because it is not that, it's different, yes, but it's not that different from what we got in the comic books, where the Venom birthed the symbiote in the comics asexually, and it bonded to Carnage that way when, Venom escaped the jail and stuff. And in the movie, he gets Carnage by just biting Eddie. But it's kind of the same concept, because in the comics, Eddie and Cletus, they share a jail cell together. The Venom suit ends up finding Eddie and breaks him out. The Venom symbiote then reproduces asexually, like budding, and then it bonds to Cletus. A drip of that bonds to Cletus. So, and in the movie, it's kind of the same thing. They're not just sharing a jail cell, obviously, because Eddie Brock isn't in prison or anything, but he's at the prison, and then Cletus gets close to him, he bites him, and then that's when he gets the symbiote. And I like that. I like that a lot, actually. That works for me in this context, and I'm totally cool with it. What else? Because the movie does have got a lot of good stuff in it. Seeing Cletus turn into Carnage, awesome. Well, what can I say? It's awesome to see Carnage go on a rampage in the jail cell and to beat everybody up. It felt just like it did in Maximum Carnage issue 1 for me, man. When he's in some facility, I'm blanking, some facility, but he breaks out and he starts killing everybody. It felt just like that, and I loved it. I loved every minute of this, of him taking everybody out in the jail and everything. Freaking amazing. So, and I love the scene where he breaks Shriek out of the prison. They go on a little joyride in their car, and he ends up throwing all those cars everywhere, and he changes his hand into an axe and breaks the car with the axe hand. You don't understand, guys. That blew me away just to see that on screen. Because Carnage does that in the comics. He changes his hands into axes and stuff and everything. And just to see that in the movie was freaking awesome. It was so, so good. I don't know if you catch this, guys, but if you're a hardcore comic book fan, and there's a scene where Venom connects to the internet, and that is a reference to a Venom comic book called Venom Carnage Unleashed, where Venom goes into the internet, into a dial-up computer, and takes out his enemies that way. So he connects to the computer in one scene using a symbiote. That's a reference to that. Man, I mean, these people, round of applause to them. They pay attention to their source material in their Venom comic books. You can tell that they were a fan of these early 90s Venom books. And man, they just brought it to the big screen. I don't know what to say. And then also you got the Venom and Eddie relationship stuff, which I feel like is a reference to Venom, Venom the Hunger, I think. I don't have that either. I don't have Carnage Unleashed or the Hunger, but I've seen reviews on it. I think it's a reference to that, and I like how that's handled, but I wish it would have been cut down a little just to have some more Carnage and Venom fights. And speaking of which, the fight at the end of Venom and Carnage is amazing. I freaking love it. I love it so much. Seeing Venom and Carnage fight, like my mind was just blown. I went back 4 times just to see this scene. Honestly, I love the movie, but this scene was amazing. And to see Carnage on the big screen, man, you don't understand. Like, to see them fight on the big screen, it was worth the 4 times I went. Like, awesome, awesome. That's all I can really say. And the other things I noticed, they covered Cletus Cassidy's origin about his pushing his grandmother down the stairs, and then, frying his mom with the hairdryer in the bathtub and stuff like that, and, killing a dog. And that's all accurate to the book. Again, these people they pay attention. And then there are some differences, though, like how Carnage is kind of like his own entity, like in the first movie with Venom and Eddie Brock. Because in the comics, Carnage and Venom are basically the same. I mean, Carnage and Cletus Cassidy, I'm sorry. Carnage and Cletus Cassidy are the same person in the books. So they refer to themselves as I, right? But in the movie, it's different because they refer to themselves as we. So it's not that kind of single entity like in the comics. But I'm honestly okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that because there are some things where, like, Carnage ends up hitting Shriek. The symbiote himself, when bonded to Cletus, hits Shriek. And he's like, shut up. And that's something that Carnage Cletus would do in the books. So it's a little different, but it's also accurate. And, man, what else? Because I got to move on to the next movie. Something else I wanted to say real quick. I cannot remember it now. Man, that's annoying. Give me just a minute, guys. I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Final battle. Oh yeah, Anne Wing was good. I liked her. Michelle Williams did a good job. Goodness gracious, I can't remember what it is. It's something that was big, and I was going to talk about it. Carnage. I like Shriek. I thought what's her name did a really good job as Shriek. Yeah, this movie was just really good. It was really awesome. I really dug it. This is my 5th favorite Spider-Man movie, and it gets a 9 out of 10 for me just because I like the balance of humor and darkness in the first one. I felt like this one a little overboard with the humor. I wasn't a big fan of the rave scene. I could have dealt without that. That's what I was going to talk about. I just remembered now. Okay, I didn't like the fact that they killed off Cletus so quickly in the first movie, because I'm like, it was cool and it made sense, I guess, but it was like Carnage is such a big villain and Cletus is such a big villain that to kill him off so early just felt like a waste to me. I'm thinking maybe they could bring Cletus Carnage back because, in the comics, Carnage is bonded to Cletus's blood cells. He's in his blood. So maybe there's still some Carnage left in his blood, even though Venom ate Carnage. But yeah, and then I heard someone else say, like, they could bring back Carnage just without Cletus. And I don't want that at all. I'm sorry. I don't want that at all. To me, Cletus Cassidy is Carnage. And they might as well not bring back Carnage at all if they're going to do that. So, yeah, I'm not down for that. Like, I'll watch it. I'll probably like it, but I'm just not down for it. So, if you're going to bring Carnage back, bring back Cletus Cassidy. And the fact that they killed him off, I'm not mad or anything. I'm just kind of like, wasted opportunity. What else? There was one more thing I wanted to say. I might have already mentioned. I don't even remember. But yeah, you know what? Anyways, this movie gets a 9 out of 10 for me. Venom Let There Be Carnage. Great movie. Good sequel. Not as good as the first one. I think this one went a little too heavy with its humor. But other than that, it's 9 out of 10 for me. Awesome movie. My 5th favorite Spider-Man movie. Next to Venom and the Rami Trilogy. Sorry, guys. I know it's kind of weird. I'm just going to let my hand rest for a few seconds because I want to make like multiple parts to this. So yeah. Whew. It's just my hand holds that phone and it gets kind of cramped. Which actually, I don't even really, you know what? I may not even need to hold this one really. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give my hand a break actually because we're gonna talk about my 6th favorite movie, which is okay. So here's where we get into spoilers. Spoilers. We're gonna get into my 6th favorite movie, which is Spider-Man: No Way Home, the newest movie. So those of you who want to click off now, I'm glad you got to watch the video. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you want to, you can skip to my other movies I'm going to talk about later. I don't have like a timestamp or anything, so you're just gonna have to try to be careful at your own risk. But we're gonna get to my sixth favorite movie, which is Spider-Man: No Way Home. And spoilers, just spoilers. You know what? I've got a piece of paper here. I'm spoilers. So I'm gonna hold on to this I'm gonna give you guys like 2 minutes. All right. Spoilers for No Way Home. Spoilers. Spoilers. No Way Home. Spoilers. Yep. I think I got it. I think you guys got it. So spoilers for Spider-Man: No Way Home. I'm gonna dish out spoilers. Spoilers. So yeah. I'm gonna pause this for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna go right in. Okay. So yeah. Gonna give this a good minute. Ba 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 da. I really like I didn't mention before, I like the Rami theme, and then the Garfield theme. That's why I'm singing these themes. I like their soundtracks, like the Rami theme in the first original movies, and then the theme for the Amazing Spider-Man films. That's not a spoiler. That's just me talking about the soundtracks. Because I like the Danny Elfman score in the Raimi films, and then I like the soundtracks for the Amazing Spider-Man movies too. So that's why I like to hum to them. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Okay, we're gonna get into spoilers now. I gave you guys 2 minutes to log off. I think that was a sufficient amount of time. So we're gonna get into spoilers for No Way Home now. You have been warned. We're gonna dive into this, and I'm not gonna show you guys a box or anything. So I'm gonna just lay the phone down on my leg here, so you're not gonna see anything. But just listen to my words, because I need to let my hand rest anyways. Also, my hand's getting kind of tired from on the phone. Also, I don't have the actual movie here, obviously, because it just came out. So you're just going to hear my thoughts, listen to me talk, which is what we've been doing anyways. So here I go. You get a clap. Right here. We go. Actually, we'll just do it. There we go. Nice dark space there. Okay, so anyways, Spider-Man No Way Home. I freaking loved it. This movie, first off, Tobey Maguire is back, baby. The OG King himself is back. Yes, he's back. Back again. Yep, he is back. Okay, Tobey Maguire is back, guys. As the best live-action Spider-Man ever, in my opinion. To see Tobey back was a freaking miracle. I screamed 3 times in the theaters, yelling, yeah, yeah, yeah. With the 3 times I've seen it, and the couple more times I'm going to go see this movie. It was amazing, guys. To see Tobey Maguire in his web suit again was just fantastic. To see Tobey back again was just amazing in itself. To see him as like the mentor to Tom Holland's Spider-Man was awesome. It was like the wise old Spider-Man out of all the 3 Spider-Men that were there. Just freaking amazing. Blew my mind away. To see the web suit again was awesome. Other positives I'm going to give it, because I could go over Tobey Maguire all day, but honestly, everything was good in this movie. Like, Tom Holland redeemed himself, in my opinion, in this movie. I didn't like him in his last 2 films. I'm going to go over that in soon, but man, he redeemed himself. Like, seeing his Aunt May die, and then him crying, and then him actually having to struggle was just amazing. I was so happy to see him finally struggle a little bit, and then finally grow into that Spider-Man that I wanted him to be with those last 2 movies. And I love the fact that he was worried about his friends getting into college, Ned and MJ, Michelle Jones Watson. I like the idea of him caring about them getting into college, and when he gets his identity revealed, they can't get into college because they're associated with him. I like that idea of him saying, I'm going to try to get you guys into college. I'm going to do whatever it takes, even if I got to go to Doctor Strange and do a spell. So I like that, because that is Spider-Man to me right there. That is what those last 2 movies really lacked, and even the Amazing films to an extent lacked, was that whole thing about he cares about other people. He has that heart, and he wants to try to do anything he can to help his friends out. And I like the idea of him trying to. Again, I disagree personally with him, but that's me. But with the character, looking at the character, I like the idea of him trying to redeem the villains in the movie. With Doc Ock, Electro, freaking Lone Post Green Goblin, man. Round of applause. I was so happy to see him again. And yeah, I like seeing him redeem the villains, him fixing Doc Ock again, and making him a good guy, and then trying to fix Electro. This is something that Spider-Man would do. Because if you read Maximum Carnage, that whole book, he's trying to, Carnage is just killing people left and right. Spider-Man's whole thing is he's trying to, stop him from killing people because he thinks, Carnage still has good left in him. We can change him back into a good guy. We can do this. We can fix Cletus. Even though, in my opinion, he couldn't be fixed. He probably wouldn't ever be fixed. But that's just me. But that is the character, and that's what I do like about him. Even if I disagree with some of his views, he's fictional. If I disagree with some of his views, he has that good moral compass about him that makes you sympathetic to him. That makes you kind of respect him in a way. That he's willing to risk it all for his friends and his family, and that felt like Spider-Man to me. He, literally, he's no longer Iron Boy Jr. He is actually Spider-Man in this movie. And I loved it. He did such a good job. Tom Holland, I still didn't like your portrayal in those 2 films, man, but this film, you really did knock it out of the park. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just being fair. I didn't like your portrayal in those movies, those last 2, but you did a really good job in this, and you deserve all the praise. You deserve a lot of praise in this movie, man. You knocked it out. You got Spider-Man to where I wanted him to be in these movies, and you did a really good job, and I'm actually looking forward to your future films, man. I like you as an actor, and I'm actually, side note, I'm excited for your Uncharted movie. Not that you're watching this, but your Nathan Drake, I think you're going to knock that one out of the park. But I liked your portrayal of Spider-Man in this. You did a good job, man. You really went all in there with your role. And he did good. I'm being fair here. He did really good in this movie. He redeemed himself. What else? Andrew Garfield. I liked him in this movie, too. It was so amazing. All the Spider-Mans were good in this. Tobey, of course, is going to be good because he's freaking Tobey Maguire. I mean, let's be honest, guys. I sing praises about him all the time. But what surprised me in this movie was Andrew and Tom. They were just so good in their roles. Andrew, I liked him in this movie. He wasn't annoying. He didn't... Not that Andrew Garfield annoys me as an actor, but just as Spider-Man, I didn't like him all that much. And as Peter Parker, especially, that's just me. Really did a good job in this movie. I was really surprised. I loved... Man, just to see all these actors... You don't understand. Just see all these previous actors... not only come back, but interact with each other was amazing to see, and I loved every minute of it. We got enough. I felt like we got a good, substantial amount of them talking, and I'm satisfied with what I got. I definitely am. But would it have been cool to see more? Sure. But am I happy with what I got? Yes. Man, just a film with them talking would be amazing, because that conversation where he's talking about, on my back, and then Andrew fixes his back, and then they're talking about all their past villains, and how Andrew was lame because he only fought a guy in a rhino suit, and then Toby's trying to give him a inspirational boost, saying you're amazing. I love that scene. I don't know what else to say. I mean, villains, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, my goodness, man, he knocks it out of the park once again as Green Goblin. I mean, he does all the physical stunts himself, just like in the first movie, from what I've heard. Green Goblin is awesome. He's my favorite villain in the movies and in the comics. And in this movie, he knocks it out of the park. He's menacing. He's evil. Doc Ock is Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. Amazing, incredible. I love the bridge scene. I love seeing the villains talk to each other, because even when you don't get to the Spider-Man at first, The whole movie itself is good. I like seeing Spider-Man's identity get revealed. I like him dealing with those repercussions. It gave me something to be like, yeah, I can see why he's annoyed. I can actually sympathize with this kid now. Unlike the last two films, I can kind of sympathize with him now. With all this pressure that he gets as Spider-Man. Yeah, I understand that. I would get annoyed too. What else, man? Doc Ock's Alfred Molina. Great. Really, really good. Bridge scene was amazing. Bridge scene was awesome. I loved it. I loved his performance. He felt like just as he did in Spider-Man 2. I like the Iron Spider suit battle. Man, I mean, I liked all the villains here. I like Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman. I know people were like, he didn't do much, but the fact that he was still there and he provided his voice, I loved it. I loved when him and Electro were talking to each other about, like, he fell into the I forgot the name, but he fell into the machine and then Electro fell into the Yields and they're talking about that. That was great. I mean, there's just stuff in this movie that I thought I'd never see. Like, all these little villains talking to each other from different movie franchises. Like, it's amazing, guys. And Jamie Foxx as Electro, I loved him too. Jamie Foxx, honestly, was the best thing out of those two amazing movies for me. I should say, Amazing Spider-Man movies for me. So I loved his Electro. And I might go more into depth with no, I don't know. But, good movie. I love seeing the old actors back. I love Tom Holland's story. Zendaya and, what's his name, Ned, were really good in this. Everybody was just so good in this, man. Like, Doctor Strange was good in this. Like, everybody, the jokes weren't bad for me. Everybody's saying the jokes are bad, but weirdly enough, the only jokes I don't like are the ones that were shown in the trailer. Like, yeah, I don't like the Scooby-Doo crap joke. I don't like them making fun of Doc Ock. That doesn't sit right with me. But the jokes weren't bad. I didn't cringe at any jokes. The jokes were funny. Ned was actually pretty funny in this movie. And I didn't like him. I don't know if I liked him in the last two, but I liked him in this one. Everybody was just so good. They deserve praise for their performance, man. Everybody. Tom Holland redeemed himself for me. Especially the end when he goes back to like making his own suit and stuff. I'm excited to see where he's gonna go now. Like I'm actually man, I want to see future films with him now. I didn't want to before. I didn't care about Spider-Man at all before this movie. Because I didn't care. But I'm on board now. Like, Tom Holland, you've redeemed yourself, man. You knocked it out of the park with your Rollins, man. Awesome performance, dude. Like, and you already seem like a cool guy. You seem like a cool actor. But I wasn't really along with your Spider-Man. No offense to you. I just wasn't really into your Spider-Man. Same with your Tanger. Like, not that you guys are watching this. But I like your Spider-Man, man. You did a good job in this movie. You redeemed him for me. And he felt really like Spider-Man to me. You gave a good performance, man. So, Tobey Maguire, of course, did awesome. I always love Tobey. Andrew also did a really good job. He had some good moments, especially when he saved Michelle Jones as MJ. And seeing them all back in costume, like, and the struggles that Tom had to deal with him getting his identity revealed. Like, his struggles with his identity getting revealed and having to deal with that. And then losing his Aunt May. And then almost killing the Goblin until Tobey comes in and stops him from doing it. And then, there's a scene in the movie that gave me an absolute heart attack almost, where Tobey got stabbed in the back and I was freaking out like, what the heck's going on? What? But then it turned out it was a fake out and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Man, I was so worried. I was so freaking worried. And also, a lot of you were saying or someone said that Tobey's suit was all CGI and that was kind of lame. I could care less if the suit was CGI or not, because again, I go into these newer movies going like, everything's CGI now. Like, I mean, that's just how it is. And I was just happy, CGI or not, I was happy to see him back in the suit. The web suit, it was just so iconic. Man, it was just so great. Like, I don't know what to say. I like seeing the TASM villains. I like seeing the other villains go over their own backstories. And I love seeing one with the Screen Goblin. I got two nitpicks, though. Two little nitpicks. But that's it. This movie is fantastic. You need to go see it. I love it. But I got two nitpicks. One, small nitpicks. I wish we could have seen more of Green Goblin's original suit. I wish he wouldn't have broken his mask so early. We see it in the movie, and I'm thankful for that because I love that original suit, if you saw my last review. But, man, oh man, I wanted to see more of that original Green Goblin costume, man. Like, I wanted to see more of it. And I like his new look. Willem Dafoe, I mean, he doesn't even really need the suit, I guess, but because he did such a good job in his performance. But I love that suit, and it felt like the comics, and to see it broken so early was not a bummer, but it was just kind of like, I wish I would have seen more of it, you know? So that's a nitpick. Another nitpick I have with Tom Maguire, No, it's in the big thing. He was awesome in the movie. I loved it. Um, but if you notice, and someone pointed out this to me in a review I watched, and he's kind of right. If you pay attention, you get really good shots of Andrew's suit in particular. Like there's a scene where you get like a 1 minute shot of him just talking to Electro, and you really get to see his suit. But the problem with Toby is you do get to see his suit, and I'm thankful for that. I am. Just seeing back in the suit, it's a big deal. But I wish we would have gotten, like, I don't know, maybe there's a scene where he's talking to Sandman, right? And it's just him, like, and we see it, but I mean, like, him just standing still, right? And we get, like, a good 1 to 2 minute shot of him just in the suit to really soak it in, like, to just soak it in, you know? And I wish we would have gotten that, because a lot of it in the movie, he's jumping around finding the lizard, so you don't really get to see his suit that clearly, and it cuts away a lot. So I wish we could have gotten a moment just to soak in the fact that he's back in that suit. But again, that's just me. I'm a huge Tobey Maguire fan, and they're nitpicks. But really, that's all the complaints I have. This movie's a 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's better than the movies that are going to come up. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think it's better than the Rami films. I don't think it's better than the Venom films. But I do think it's better than the films I'm going to talk about next. Definitely. Because after this other movie we're going to get into, it kind of goes downhill from here. But 9 out of 10 movie, No Way Home. It was a really good movie. I've seen it 3 times already. I'm going to see it probably 2 more times at the very most. The fact that we got to see all this, the fact that this happened, guys, is a freaking miracle in itself. I don't need a Spider-Man 4 anymore, honestly. I'm fine if this is Tobey's last appearance, because we got the 3 movies that are already good in itself. The fact that I got to see him for one last time, I'm happy with it. If we don't get to see this ever again, I'm cool with it. The fact that we even got to see this was amazing to me. It really did bring back memories from when I saw the Tobey Maguire films as a kid. And I mean, those films mean a lot to me. They got me into the books, so hats off to everybody involved with this movie. Sony, even Disney. As much problems as I have with Disney. Everybody involved, good job, everybody. Like, great movie, great, awesome film. 9 out of 10. I'm being deadly serious. Awesome movie. Okay, we're done with No Way Home now, so I'm going to pick back up my phone. We're going to go to our next movie. And then I think we're going to do a part 3 after this. And then I'm going to discuss the last films in my part 3. We're going to discuss the last films on the last film is part 2, which, yes, Spider-Man into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Yes, and originally, before No Way Home came out, this had No Way Home's place, because I love this movie too. I was so shocked by this movie when it came out, because I'm like, this is going to be a good animated film. This is going to be I went into this like, okay, it's an animated Spider-Man movie. It's a kids movie. It's not gonna be that good, right? I mean, but no, I was blown away. This movie was amazing, man. This is why this was like Rami Spider-Man storytelling in this movie. This was like close to Rami good. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man good as far as the storytelling. And man, Miles Morales, man, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of the character. It's not because I'm racist. I'm just not a huge fan of the character. He just feels like a copy of Peter Parker to me, right? That's how I feel about him. But I loved him in this movie. I liked what the writers did with his character. The writers did something really interesting with his character, and I like how they handled him. They made me like Miles. I didn't like Miles before this. I still don't, to be honest. I don't like the books that he's in. I don't like the video game interpretation. But I love him in this movie. Man, hats off to the writers. Like, I loved the older Peter Parker in this movie. I like Spider-Gwen. I like the story of older Peter Parker being the mentor to Miles. I mean, everything about this movie was so good. It was like, it's a Spider-Man movie that I haven't seen in a while, which is on the level of like the Tobey films, because the Andrew films didn't do it for me. It was at that time where the Andrew films didn't do it for me. The earlier Tom Holland films didn't do it for me, and when this came out, this did it for me. This felt like a Spider-Man movie, and I freaking in animated form, and I freaking loved it. It's up there with the live action ones, guys. If you're a Spider-Man fan and you haven't seen this, you gotta watch it. It's seeing Miles' uncle, I forgot his name, I'm sorry, but his uncle died, and having that emotional moment, and him wanting to be the new Spider-Man, and Peter Parker mentoring him and giving him being like a responsible mentor, and all the interactions with the other Spider people. Great stuff, great stuff. And I'm trying to think of other stuff I can go into. Seeing the death of Peter Parker in an animated kids film, it was shocking to me, man. I didn't think they'd go that far with it. Like, actually killing Peter Parker. Not like this is an R-rated movie, right? Because I've seen R-rated movies. This isn't that. But it's cool to see an animated movie nonetheless, because especially in that movie, because when they kill Spider-Man, it's just the Peter Parker in this movie. It's a sad moment, man. You really feel it in this movie, and it was really well handled. And then Miles taking on the responsibility of being the new Spider-Man, like. Miles was good in this movie, man. Like, I don't like Miles Morales Spider-Man. I don't. I'm a Peter Parker, Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, and original Spider-Man fan. Those are my two favorites. Those are the only ones I really care about, are Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099. But I still don't like Miles that much in the comics or the games, but in the movie, they did a good job, and I gotta give them credit where credit's due. This movie is really, really good. And I'm gonna give it a... Let's see, I gave... You know what? Yeah, I'm going to probably give this movie... Okay, let me think about this a minute, guys. Maybe an 8.5. I think an 8.5 is fair for this movie. Really good movie. I love it, but I do love the Rami films. The Venom films, I do love No Way Home better. But this is an 8.5 for me. I love this movie. It's a good Spider-Man movie, and if you love Spider-Man, you just got to watch it. So... Okay, we've got a few movies left to talk about. We got 4 movies, I believe, and that's where I'm going to probably make my part 3, although I could just kind of cover... You know what we're going to do? We're going to do part 3, because this movie's already 51 minutes long, so stay tuned. We got 4 more movies I got to talk about, 2 of which I'm not going to get too much into, because I don't own them, and I've only seen them once, and I'm betting you can guess which movies those are going to probably be, or maybe you don't, I don't know. But stay tuned to part 3 for my ranking of all my Spider-Man movies. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. And again, to go over the rankings to get you guys up. Spider-Man 1, the original one, is my first favorite. Spider-Man 3 is my second favorite. Spider-Man 3 is my fourth favorite. No, wait. Oh, gosh, I messed it up again. I'm sorry, guys. Spider-Man 1 is my favorite, my number 1 favorite. Spider-Man 3 is my second favorite. Spider-Man 2 is my third favorite. Venom is my fifth favorite. Venom Let There Be Carnage is my 6th favorite. And No Way Home is my 7th favorite. And, No Way Home is my 7th favorite. And 8th favorite is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm sorry, I probably jumbled up my words a lot, but hopefully I'm keeping this clear enough. I'm gonna go over this again to catch people up in my third part. But anyways, this has been Darkstorm Comic Reviews. Be sure to catch my third part for my Spider-Man ranking videos. And I'll catch you guys in a few minutes. See you later.